Donald Trump is now coming after U.S. citizens and trying to strip their citizenship away because they are expressing their First Amendment rights. He's creating two categories of citizens in America. One, those born on U.S. soil, but even those are suspect under Donald Trump, at least certain types. The other one, the naturalized citizen. He's already got a jaundiced view of people that come to this country. And now, through a new memo that was issued by the Civil Division of the Department of Justice, he's going after naturalized citizens, treating them differently than all other citizens when they, under the Constitution, should be treated the same. And he's going after them because he's going to try to claim that they're some sort of national security risk, or for any other reason the Department of Justice feels like it. I'm not making that up, in a memo about the priorities of the Department of Justice. And if that's not the Department of Justice that you want, then you know what to do with the midterms. Let's talk about this right now. I'm on holiday, but I wanted to brief you about this attack on citizenship. And maybe I'm taking it even more personal because my great-grandparents were naturalized citizens of the United States, although I was born here, and so is my wife. So now it's personal. But it's always personal here on Legal AF. We speak to each other, we commune, we vibrate on the same frequency, and we do it together here. Hit the free subscribe button. Let me tell you about this memo that I mentioned on Michael Popok. You might know that from being on the channel. Anyway, you can tell I'm on holiday. Let's get into the memo. A no laughing matter there. Civil Enforcement Division issued by a guy named Brett Shumate. Who is that? He's in the Department of Justice. He was the first lawyer to kind of rejoin the Department of Justice from private practice when Trump won. They trotted him out, and he's taken the lead in all the birthright citizenship cases. So when you hear birthright citizenship cases, you want to know which lawyer is leading that charge? It's Brett Shumate. And they had this Yahoo issue the memo to all the lawyers in the Civil Division of the Department of Justice. It's under priorities and policy objectives, and buried in there, and then buried within the burying, you go to section 5 of this memo. It says prioritizing denaturalization. And then you get the subpart 9 and 10, and that's my big concern. My big concern is based on how they are going after naturalized citizens for national security risks. It could also constitute First Amendment expression. You see what they're doing with graduate students and others on college campuses, right? And then there's just this catch-all, like whatever the Department of Justice wants to go after you for. And that's not right in this country. If you're going to go through the process of earning your citizenship, then you should be treated the same as all Americans. And since an American can't be deported or removed if they were born here or otherwise for committing fraud, same thing for these people. Now, this is different than what they're lying, because they're lying to the American people, because they told CNN when they were challenged about the memo, oh, we know what the memo says, but we're really just going after those people who lied and committed fraud in the naturalization process. And I'm like, well, I sort of get that. You know, that was the original laws on the books to denaturalize that he's now trying to use, Trump's trying to use, was to go after Nazis in hiding, right? We're going after war criminals and Nazis who lied on their application. I get that. But now we're using that law to just say, hey, you, naturalized citizen, you thought you were a citizen for life here in America? You're not, because you did something that we're now going to claim national security risk, and we're going to toss you. Here's what it says under the section 5, then I'll give you the subpoints that you should focus your attention on. The Department of Justice may institute civil proceedings to revoke a person's United States citizenship if an individual either illegally procures naturalization or procured naturalization by concealment of a material fact. Okay, I get that. Somebody lies in the application process and it's a material, toss them. So then you go down to, on page 4, to promote the pursuit of all viable denaturalization cases under that statute, the anti-Nazi statute, I like to call it, 8 U.S.C. section 1451. It says that the following categories of priorities for denaturalization cases are established. 1, cases against individuals who pose a potential danger to national security. That's pretty broad. You could see Donald Trump, who's already called things like a drug gang hiding in plain sight in America, a military invasion, to use the Alien Enemies Act. It's not that far of a stretch to see him saying, hey, naturalized citizen podcaster, naturalized citizen mayoral candidate for New York City, I don't like your First Amendment speech. I think it's rabble-rousing and it undermines our national security and is hostile, and I'm therefore going to denaturalize you, right? Does anybody think that's not a possibility out there? Number 2, war crimes, torture, human rights violations. All right, I get that. Then you get down to 9 and 10. Cases referred by the U.S. Attorney's Office, so that's any U.S. Attorney's Office, doesn't say what type of case, or in connection with pending criminal charges, if those charges do not fit within one of the other priorities. So talk about a catch-all. The catch-all eats the entire set of priorities. Anything referred to by a U.S. Attorney's Office, which is in every state in the union, in multiple U.S. Attorney's Office, it doesn't have to be criminal, it can be civil. Now wait till you hear 10. Any other cases referred to the civil division from whomever that the division determines to be sufficiently important to pursue. Did you get that one? Let me read it again. Any other cases referred to the civil division that the division determines to be sufficiently important to pursue. Isn't that like a tautology? The division determines the importance of the division of the policy. I mean, what are you even talking about? So let's strip it all away. Let's get down to brass tacks here. That's what we like to do on Legal AF. They're going to use this denaturalization law to go after people who are naturalized U.S. citizens because they're expressing their First Amendment rights. They don't like the look of them. They don't like the cut of their jib, so to speak, or for any other reason. And then you've got U.S. attorneys like Alina Habba and Jeanine Pirro, who are just the political hacks of Donald Trump, to name just a couple. So we've got these politicized U.S. attorneys who are going to have the power to make a referral to the civil division to determine whether somebody's citizenship should be stripped away for any reason at all, civil or criminal, or that's it. Now, when it ends with, these categories are intended to guide the civil division in prioritizing which cases to pursue. However, these categories do not limit, it gets worse, the civil division from pursuing any particular case, nor are they listed in a particular order of importance. So 10 and 9 could be just as important as number 1, but they buried it, right? Except when CNN reached them to talk about this, here's the line from the Department of Justice. Now, you just heard from me the truth, the facts. I read aloud from the memo. Here's what the statement made to CNN was. So the quote from the Department of Justice is that this is only being used to denaturalize people who committed some sort of fraud in the process. But that's not what the memo says. So now you've got a whole target list for Donald Trump. Let's think of some people who have been naturalized. Elon Musk. There's always been a rumor that he wasn't even properly naturalized. I mean, Melania Trump was naturalized, but she's safe. Zoran Mamdani, who's the leading candidate for the mayor of New York. Anybody who criticizes the Justice Department or Donald Trump is at risk if they happen to also be naturalized Americans. I mean, there's immigration lawyers who are advising, for instance, in my world, advising podcasters and social media influencers who are popular, who are opposed to the Trump administration the way that we are, to tamp it down, to chill their First Amendment expression, to not go after the Trump administration, and certainly don't leave the country. There's plenty of people who have been naturalized. There's people even in our world, David Pakman, and one of the podcasters that we know well on the Midas Touch Network. So think about it. You know somebody, or you're married like I am to somebody who is naturalized. And do you want to live in a world where in an Orwellian fashion, the Department of Justice is going after you because they don't like your expression, or they don't like the job you hold, or the occupation you have, or the tenor of your political debate? This is not getting enough attention. It sort of made a news cycle. That's why I wanted to pick it up, even though I was traveling. It sort of made a news cycle and then it died. Donald Trump is trying to strip away the citizenship of U.S. citizens and have them removed, and has now branded them for the duration of the Trump administration, second-class citizens. What does that say about people that want to come to this country? In other words, the value of becoming a U.S. citizen. It's now tremendously tarnished and diminished. What would be the incentive for good, hardworking people to want to come to the United States at this point, given the Trump administration? We can't survive without lawful immigration. We can't survive without the contributions to all of our major industries that are from people with green cards, with H-1B visas, with all sorts of naturalization. This country would suffer a tremendous brain drain and diversion of assets if that were to happen. But if you're somebody that's got the choice to go to Europe and get an EU passport or go to the United States, what is your incentive to come to the United States at this point? That's rhetorical. I mean, we know the answer to that. So we're going to continue to follow it. And the reason it's important, as opposed to just getting down on, the news is so bad coming out of the Trump administration every day, Popok. And I agree with that. However, we need to train our sights and illuminate and talk about and discuss and have it become part of the national conversation in order to pin Donald Trump down. Because he will, if the polling shows it, he will often chicken out and change his policies. So we have to bank on that by bringing this information to light. I'll continue to follow it right here. Follow me for the next 10 days while I'm in remote locations, but reporting for Legal AF. If you're here with me, I appreciate it. Hit the free subscribe button. Let us know that you like this kind of content and those of our contributors, and we'll continue to bring it to you. So until my next report, I'm Michael Popok. I'm Michael Popok, and I got some big news for our audience. Most of you know me as the co-founder of Midas Touch's Legal AF and the Legal AF YouTube channel, or as a 35-year national trial lawyer. Now building what we started together on Legal AF, I've launched a new law firm, the Popok Firm, dedicated to obtaining justice through compassionate and zealous legal representation. At the Popok Firm, we are focused on obtaining justice for those who have been injured or damaged by a life-altering event by securing the highest dollar recoveries. I've been tirelessly fighting for justice for the last 35 years, so my own law firm organically building on my Legal AF work just feels right. And I've handpicked a team of top-tier trial fighters and settlement experts throughout all 50 states known as big auto injury attorneys who have the know-how to beat heartless insurance companies, corporations, government entities, and their attorneys. Big Auto's attorneys working with my firm are rock stars in their respective states and collectively responsible for billions of dollars in recoveries. So if you or a loved one have been on the wrong side of a catastrophic auto, motor vehicle, rideshare, or truck accident, suffered a personal injury, or been the victim of medical malpractice, employment harassment or discrimination, or suffered a violation of your civil and constitutional rights, then contact the Popok Firm today at 1-877-POPOK-AF or by visiting my website at www.thepopokfirm.com and fill out a free case evaluation form. And if we determine that you have a case and you sign with us, we don't get paid unless you do. The Popok Firm, fighting for your justice every step of the way.